Welcome to the show. I'm James.
I'm David.
I'm Riley.
And today we are discussing Robocop, the 88 one, not the 2014 one. We will laugh, we'll argue, we might get a little too into it, but at the end of the day, they're just cyborg movies.
Spoiler alert!
A specific genre. Very specific.
Next week, we're going to do Sonic the Hedgehog 2 by popular demand. And look, we're sorry. We know that for 2 episodes in a row, we've been saying we're going to cover everything, everywhere, all at once. It turns out we're doing nothing, never, nowhere.
I guess maybe it's not as big of a deal because you can't even see it in many theaters right now.
that's
So
the
you guys
problem.
probably haven't been able to
We
see
will
it.
cover it.
That's the one we're most excited to cover.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we're going to do it after Sonic.
We have to do Sonic, though. Apparently, I'm against it.
But today, we're doing Robocop, baby. Let's go. David, what do you give this movie out of 10?
Robocop hurts a little to watch in 22. Not because it's bad. No, it's great. But because it is the world we live in, and it sucks. 8.1 out of 10.
8.1. Wow.
I like this movie a lot, and
Right on.
I loved this movie when I was younger. It was one of my favorite movies in high school.
Oh, yeah.
But the crazy world they lived in, it's the world we live in now,
Yeah,
and it
it's kinda
sucks.
funny.
The
Yeah.
over-corporatization of everything.
We even got the mechs walking through.
We got the co-ed change rooms. All right, Riley, give this movie a rating out of 10.
I never saw this movie as a kid. I just want to say that.
You had good parents.
So this was my first. Yeah, I just had. This was my first experience. So here's my slogan: this movie's prime directive is to titillate, and it certainly does that. But it also conceals some interesting socio-political commentary in its mechanized thigh holster. Giving it a 6.5 out of 10. I had a good time, but I can't pretend that it reaches as deeply as I feel like Paul Verhoeven would like to, maybe. But we'll get into that.
You're going to up it.
James?
You're going to up it.
I don't think so.
You don't have to be dumb to like Robocop. You don't have to be smart either. You understand what I'm saying?
Everybody likes it.
High praise. 30 years on, the movie still seems poignant and prescient, and frankly, it could have aged worse. 7.5
Yeah.
out of 10.
Yeah.
Movie rules.
It's awesome.
It's pretty good. I mean, I feel like it lacks a little bit of like emotional connection with the characters sometimes.
100%.
It's more like a long B-movie skit that someone was like, oh, we're going to make this dumb movie in a weekend type of vibe sometimes, especially with like the handheld camera shots and stuff.
I love those.
Yeah,
though.
no, it's good.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying it's shitty, but it's just like it kind of gives off that like kind of cheap vibe sometimes.
But then it has like some of the best practical effects ever.
yeah, the stop motion.
so good.
I was like, oh, that looks pretty good actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's the part that I thought aged the worst, actually.
Oh.
Well, the stop motion's a little bit rough because the contrast is off, but there's a few times with like the ED-209 that like look perfect because there's an actual robot there.
That's right.
It looks so sick.
Man, they had a budget of $10 million. They knew where they were going over,
Yep.
and they wanted to make sure that they got in some of those extra scenes, like the media breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what they did is they shot all that extra stuff and didn't shoot the death of Murray.
Murphy? Yeah.
They didn't shoot his death scene. Then went back to the studio like, we need more money because we
Smart.
didn't do the biggest scene in the movie. Like, you bastards. So they ended up spending $13 million.
Smart.
Sneaky.
Right.
Also, some shocking moments that I did not expect to be like shocked that much in a movie from the 80s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know, it's awesome.
it
Let's
still
talk
works.
about it after this message from our sponsor, Sizzle Popcorn. That's right, it's a new sponsor, baby.
Hey.
Take a snack break with Sizzle Popcorn when you're gaming, streaming, or watching your favorite shows and movies and podcasts like us. Eat the popcorn while watching us. They offer 6 delicious flavors: cheddar, ketchup, maple syrup, salt and vinegar, Mexican chili, and lightly salted. It's a healthier alternative to chips and chocolate as long as you don't eat through 2 or 3 bags, which I always do. They currently ship to US, Canada, and UK, so save 10% off your first order by using code LTT at sizzlepopcorn.com or by using the link in the description. We're also brought to you by who else? Manscaped, the best in below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family crotch. Including their 4th generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. Its new wireless charging system removes the need to bring cables with you and is compatible with most Qi charging pads. The Lawnmower 4.0 includes ceramic blades with skin-safe tech, so you can just go ham down there. It's cordless, it's waterproof, it gets 90 minutes of use on a full charge in case you got a ton of hair, like my butt. It's crazy. Head to manscaped.com/TJM20 and get 20% off and free shipping today.
Just go to town.
Thanks to Storyblocks for sponsoring today's video. You ever need a quick clip for a video, but you don't have the capacity to make it yourself because it like needs helicopters or some crap? Storyblocks helps you bring your stories to life without sacrifice due to time, budget, or resource. There's over 1 million royalty-free assets for you to choose from, including 4K UHD footage and HD footage. That's HD without the U. They got Adobe templates, they got music, they got images, and a wide array of diverse and inclusive content. There are subscriptions for every budget, so you can choose the plan that works for you, from the unlimited all-access plan that gives you unlimited video and audio downloads to enterprise licensing, so your entire dang company can get access to assets when you need them. We use Storyblocks.ltt, and we don't always have time to go out and shoot the perfect B-roll footage. You know, we only have so many people. Everyone's different. Take your videos to the next level by checking out Storyblocks today at storyblocks.com/carpool. That was an inside joke for Riley.
Well, and for anyone who's seen the April Fool's video on LTT, that was my favorite part. Everyone's different.
All right, man, give us the synopsis of Robocop from 1988.
Yeah, in the near future for 1987, I guess. 7.
Is it?
It's
Yeah.
7.
Ah, sorry, guys.
A private company called OCP is brought in to run a struggling Detroit police department, which has suffered many casualties at the hand of crime boss Clarence Boddicker.
Butt liquor.
Is that?
I'm
Maybe.
saying.
In order to clean the streets before they can start their plan to modernize the city, OCP decides to invest in the Robocop program. When recently transferred cop Murphy is brutally murdered by Clarence and his gang, he is reborn as the superpowered cyborg Robocop.
Hey, Robo.
Hey, man. Hey, what's up, Robo? Robocop has crooks on the run in old Detroit, but when he has a dream about his past, he goes rogue. Robocop descends on Clarence's operation, and Clarence tells him he works for Dick Jones, the second in command at OCP. Robocop tries to confront Jones, but his 4th program directive won't allow him to arrest OCP executives. After a devastating battle, Robocop is saved by his one-time partner, Lewis, and Dick Jones promises Clarence all the drugs and gambling territory in his new vision of the city in exchange for killing Robocop. With Lewis's help, Robocop repairs himself and, having reconciled with humanity, takes out Clarence and reveals Dick Jones' treachery to the OCP board. When Jones gets fired, Robocop's 4th directive becomes obsolete, and he blasts him out the boardroom window.
That was so badass.
Thank you.
When a board member asks, "What's your name, son?" Robocop replies, "Murphy."
Boom, credits.
Yeah,
Credits.
boom, Robocop on screen.
That was a great
The
ending.
sickest ending, and they did that because of it. In a screener, they realized that that was the height of the movie. They
Right.
originally had another scene there, another media break, and in that media break, it showed his partner Lewis not dead, but also not Robocopized.
Right.
So like, yes, there could be a sequel, and we're not going that way. But they decided, fuck the bullshit.
Yeah.
let's have people go like yes in the theater and just walk out fist
Yeah.
pumping.
That's one thing I really like about this movie is it feels fairly lean. There's no bullshit. It just gets to the point and we
Right.
get through it, and it's like, that's a fun movie.
Right. I mean, that's the same kind of thing that would make me say that there is like some substance that I'd like to see missing a little bit. Like if there was some sort of emotional story or like some kind of philosophical meat to chew on or something, then that would make it higher points for me. Just for personal preference reasons. But it is very, like, as you say, lean. It gives you the goods.
I don't know, man.
I totally agree with you with the character plot kind of not being strong, but I think the philosophical and the social commentary is there.
I mean,
It's
there's
got-
satire.
I don't even know if I agree with that. It's like there's layers, man, and like the scene where he's walking through his house
yeah.
and it's just the ghosts, or like that's all he sees is just his flashbacks and memories in this empty house that's like now for sale.
Yeah.
I like
That's
that.
awesome.
I like it when
Well,
he punches the screen, but then there's the stupid stuff like his wife walking up to him and be like, I have to tell you something. I love you.
It's like why do they do it that way? Because at the beginning of the
I love
movie, she's like, I have something to tell you, and then it ends there.
Yeah.
And you're like, does she have a troubled
Yeah.
family
is
life?
She, like,
What is
she tied in with OCP or something? Like
that's where
did
your
they-
mind went?
Well, did they make a deal and that's why he was chosen or something?
I have to tell you something. When you go to work tomorrow, you're going to be brutally crucified by bullets.
No, like I signed away the rights, like if you die or so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I expected something along those
There's a
lines.
lot of heart in that scene is what I'm saying. And it's
Yeah.
emotional, even though there's no dialogue.
Did that hit you emotionally?
I
You
think
were
it's
like,
pretty heavy.
Oh my gosh, I'm feeling for him. It's just kind of like, okay, this is like basic.
He's looking for his soul. He's a machine
I felt
looking
nothing.
for his soul.
I felt absolutely nothing during this movie other than, oh, that's pretty cool.
I feel like there's moments that you probably did feel something. For me, like, it's not positive emotions in a good way. I don't think the movie's
Yeah.
trying to give it to me. It's when Murphy has cornered the people with the gun. He shoots the one guy, corners the other guy, and you're like, oh, nice. And I know that the other people are going to come, but
Yeah.
as soon as they arrive, there's like that sinking feeling.
dread,
So
yeah.
that's a feeling.
No, sorry. I meant like I felt nothing in terms of a feeling what the characters are feeling emotionally, like being engaged with the story or
Yeah.
like, oh, I hope he succeeds, that kind of thing.
Do you know the moment that got me and maybe it got you is when he is escaping OCP. He's fought the ED-209.
Yeah.
And then the cops are all there, and they're like we got to take him down. And the
Oh,
cops are like,
yeah.
no, don't. Like, he's a cop, and he's like, that's not our business or whatever. And then they start shooting him, and it's that shot when they're like firing at him through the smoke, and he's like crawling away.
Yeah.
That made me feel something.
That is
It's rough.
I
Yeah.
think I would say thematically, like on his arc, that's the darkest hour because
For sure.
it's his death again.
Yeah.
But this time it's not by the criminals, it's by the cops.
Yeah.
And it's like, and on his journey to become a cop again. Well, I guess he's a cop throughout, but to become a man again, he get shot down by the people who are supposed to be like his brothers.
But
He's
it's like
destroyed by the world.
When it's the system betraying him because
Yeah.
now the cops are owned by OCP.
Yeah. He's destroyed by like the chaotic nature of the world, these criminals, and then he's betrayed once again by the system. And it's like, it's a thing after the other. I want to clarify that I felt emotions when watching this movie. Like I did feel like intense dread when they were all like, hanging around like we're going to slowly kill you with bullets.
Oh, God.
And they like shot his hand off and stuff. Like, are they just gonna like blow his body parts off?
The
like
next
one by
shot takes
one?
the rest of his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's rough for sure. Like that's dark. And I think I felt the shocking moment I was talking about earlier was when the ED-209 test goes
Oh, yeah.
awry.
That-
And the intern, like I didn't think that he would I don't think he would die. And then he's just like 20 seconds and they're counting down and they're like, oh no, what do we do? He like goes over to like the board members at first. I'm like, is it gonna kill everybody? And then he like backs away.
They
and it's
push
just,
him
like,
away from
3,
them.
2, 1, and he's just like, blah, 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 blah. He
For
just
like 10,
explodes.
15
And it's brutal. So that's a
Yeah.
scene that they had cut, right?
Oh,
it didn't make it
yeah.
into the theater. It didn't make it into the original movie releases, I think. They brought it back for DVD release or Blu-ray.
what happened in the
Oh.
theater?
It was
version?
just too
Too
violent.
violent.
Oh,
Because
man.
it was originally X-rated, and they wanted to bring it to something
I
that
honestly-
could show in theaters.
I was not stoked for this movie because I've never seen it, and I'm like, this is like one of those basic ass '80s action thrillers, whatever, blah blah. And I went in and just like not stoked, and then that scene happened, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
This is stylistic.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
This
I was,
is comic book violence.
yeah.
Insane. I was actually
what
very.
did
I was
write?
perturbed.
My
by
actual
that.
my actual note was, holy shit, the robot just fucking blew the intern away. Ha 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 ha.
He's the
The
vice
80s were
president.
crazy, man.
He's the vice president, by the way.
Oh, what? No.
No.
Because that's who he
Jones.
replaces. No, Dick Jones is higher up.
No, that guy.
That's how the dude gets the
No, no,
spot.
No, the guy that
No.
dies is just like one of the. He's
The guy
like Bobby's
the
buddy.
guy that they bring up, who's the balding guy who had the
That
threesome with the coke.
he took his spot.
No,
No.
he takes the spot of Dick Jones, who's like Dick Jones
Who's moved up.
Wait, Dick Jones? No, Dick Jones is like the number 2 at the company.
Yeah, but
he's
Dick-
always number 2.
But
No one.
That's right. He doesn't lose his spot, but
Yeah.
his program is not getting used. ED-209, Ed-209 is not getting used, and so
Yeah.
by using the Robocop program, this other dude, he does get a promotion, but he's not replacing the intern guy. That guy is low down.
He was like part of Bobby's team. The guy that died. Anyways,
It
Doesn't
doesn't matter.
he wasn't. Yeah, he was like a fairly unimportant member of the company. Is what.
But yeah, that scene is insane. I was actually like really disturbed by that, and I thought I was kind of annoyed at first because I thought, wouldn't the people in the room be like puking, like just going insane, like screaming of like how brutal it is? They're obviously disturbed, but they're not
Yeah.
like that disturbed. But then in the very next scene, when they're in the elevator, that dude who gets the promotion, whose name we should know because we're gonna talk about him
Bob?
throughout.
No.
He's like, that's life in the big city, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's something I really
They're
like.
desensitized to
Totally.
violence.
Yeah.
Well, even the cops, the fact that like when the one guy has been shot and there's rumors of like, what is he gonna make it? Is he not? And the captain comes in and he just like kind of callously slides the name tag out and he's like, the funeral will be this. As per usual, we're doing this. And like the cops are like, kind of sad, but it's not like a big deal. It's just in this
Yeah.
world, not only like are we desensitized to death, but just violence in general. But
Yeah.
by the yeah.
for sure.
100%.
That
Yeah.
the intern getting blown away and then Bobby saying like, "Oh, that's life of the big city," really felt like metaphorical. It was like, oh, they're saying that like obviously life in the big city doesn't routinely involve getting blasted by security robots on the top floor of a building, but it's like, oh, it chews people up and spits them out in this way,
Well, like after it happens in the boardroom still, when Dick Jones goes up to the actual like founder, the dude's just like, I'm so disappointed. And then they go, then they talk about the contracts that
Yeah, no
and
one's
the opportunity
shocked.
cost.
Yeah. They're like, it sucks when this happens all the time.
Yeah, that's hilarious. They, what, Riley?
Well, I was just gonna say the way that they deliver exposition in the beginning with that news segment. How did you guys like that?
I loved it. I love that what they use to tell you the state of the world, like
Right.
the information they give you. The first piece of information they give you is South Africa has nukes.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is the Star Wars program, like Reagan,
Yeah.
those guns in space. And now the president went up there to like do the press conference and they bungled it.
Right, right.
Like
What?
they
And then I love the ads too. I think the ads make my skin crawl. Where it's like, oh, you want to buy a new heart? Oh, we have all the different models. You want the sports model heart?
Yeah.
You want like the luxury model heart? And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we're in that world.
And the final line of that commercial is, "We care about you."
Yeah.
Remember, we care.
We care. Yeah. I like how it telegraphs to you. It's a tone promise. It like telegraphs to you that it has some sort of satirical things to say about culture. I feel like the trope of having like news segments at the beginning of a movie can really suck. Like I think it's been used many times.
It's clear that it's just an exposition dump.
But I think for this one it works because it's so satirical.
Because it's a comedy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a comedy, but there are satirical elements of this action movie.
There are comedic aspects of it. It's kind of a black comedy. It's not a straight ahead action movie. It's not a straight ahead comedy either. But there's
even call
funny
it
moments.
I wouldn't call it a black comedy. I think it's mostly action movie with some comedy in it.
Well,
Whatever.
I watched the commentary and I heard like the writers and producers and stuff talk about it. And
Oh yeah.
they use the word comedy at a couple points. So
Before we get too far off of both
kind of
the
is.
desensitization of the violence, but also the newscasting, when later on they're talking about when the space laser goes off and kills like 300 people, and there's 2 dead presidents, and then they just move on, and it's like that's the world that we're in, like 2 dead American presidents, and then we're just like, okay, next story.
Yeah.
they debated whether or not they should actually show some pictures of a couple presidents, like
Yeah.
real life presidents, and then they were like, nah. that was in poor
The
taste.
diagram of them like describing how the laser went off and like hit different parts. It was just like it was just like covered all of California. It's just like whoopsies.
Yeah, the whoopsies is a big part of it. The screenwriter was talking about kind of the cynicism of this movie stems from Vietnam. A lot of it was Vietnam because they had this kind of attitude that it doesn't matter if it works. Dick Jones actually says this. It doesn't matter if it works as long as a contract is signed. Like, it doesn't matter if our missiles or our warheads are performant because it's the end of the world anyway, so who fucking cares?
Right.
And like he actually went off on a little mini rant about American cars. That's why this is set in Detroit. He was like, Detroit represented the pinnacle of American like success and manufacturing, but the product sucked.
Yeah.
And this thing is falling apart in my driveway now, and next time I'm going to get a Toyota.
Yep.
And so that's kind of just like throughout the movie, like, oh yeah, they're doing this press conference in space and they bungled it, or they're gonna deploy this robot that's gonna be on the streets and it's just gonna accidentally kill people, but who cares?
Yeah. Well, even like I noticed it. I put in my nitpicks, but it's not really one where when they are first deploying Robocop and they bring him into the police station, they're doing like the most basic diagnostic test. I'm like, we're way past this. So like they put a pencil in front of him, like, okay, track the pencil. And they're like, whoa. Like, we need to be way beyond this level of testing.
Yeah, I think it was so funny to see like brand new experiments with technology go from like we're just testing it out to like it's on the street doing things in like months.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, we have a full cyborg.
Yeah.
We just figured it out. We just figured out how to do it, and he's out there.
Yeah, there's more Vietnam references actually. The scientist who's like at the control panel when Ed 209 comes out is named McNamara, the Secretary of State during Vietnam War, and then the design of Ed 209 is supposed to look like a Bell Huey gunship with like just the way its legs look and everything like that.
Right. It's always interesting to me when like movies that are primarily like an action movie meant to titillate, as I said, have all these little references and like are like seemingly giving social commentary on stuff. Because I'm like, how useful is that? Like, how much are you actually contributing? I mean, like maybe for the types of people who wouldn't engage with that kind of stuff normally, it's like it just enters the low level of their awareness for like the first time. Is that the use?
That
I think
Is that the utility of doing
it's
this?
more explicit than that. Like they said something like, Ed 209 first will be for urban pacification, but then we can move it up to military operations. Urban pacification is another Vietnam term. So like people who lived through the era would have been keyed into that.
Yeah, but I'm saying that kind of stuff for people who are just watching the movie and are like, oh, fun cyborg movie. Like, I guess seeing that stuff or hearing that stuff, like maybe it causes these issues to enter their awareness and them to think critically about it for a second.
I don't know. I think
Like, what's the purpose?
I think it's just part of making a movie that's good for the dumbest person in the room and the smartest person in the room. It's just
It's
like
both.
kind of just adding layers to it.
I guess so.
Like it doesn't have to drag you into that.
But
if you're not
I guess
ready
what
to
I'm
receive
saying
it.
is that okay, there's the utility for like okay, the dumb people will get it. We are acting very elitist right now.
You are.
You said dumb people. I never said dumb. For those people, that it'll get it. But what is it adding for the smart people? We'd be like, I know that reference. But like, what is it saying? Is it saying something important?
Well, it's
and that's what I mean
think
when
it's bringing your awareness to like how the overcorporatization of the police will turn how we treat our American cities into like a third world country where we will dehumanize like Americans so that we can get control over those areas. I think it is trying to say like what happened in Vietnam will happen here if we let corporate overlords take over everything.
Or even the message could just be as simple as, this is my opinion on how their approach was at Vietnam. This is my opinion on how they handled that and the kind of a culture that arose, which we still see today.
You mean how America handled Vietnam?
Yeah. Or
Okay.
the decision makers,
Right.
corporate America, arms dealers.
Sure.
I also really appreciate that they're testing it out on American streets
Yeah,
to
and
then
then
bring it to war. Just like very casually, like, yeah, it's going to kill a bunch of people. It's fine.
just the true scum, American citizens.
Man, they do so much world building just, especially at the beginning. Even when they're in the elevator, they're like, oh yeah, it's on the 95th floor.
Yep.
Like just things like that.
Yep, huge buildings.
Mm.
I think why this movie succeeds as a social commentary is that it does hit the 80s action movie things that you want out of it. Like it gives you the cheesy catchphrases, but they're kind of awesome. It gives you the action. Like it has one of my favorite explosions in a movie ever because there's like a person in the
The
middle.
gas station one?
Yeah, when he's just like in the explosion and it happens around him because he's in like a big enough suit. It is awesome.
That is awesome.
And he just walks away from it and picks up the dude and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. I don't even know how they did that, man. That's insane.
He's like in a bomb suit.
He's probably in a big box. He looked bigger than he was. And it was,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they had to use such a thin actor. Because
Oh.
the
Yeah.
studio wanted Schwarzenegger.
I was wondering about that because I'm like, this guy looks really thin. This is like a Captain America, Steve Rogers type of situation where he's really thin and then he becomes a beefcake.
It's to fit in the suit.
Yeah.
Because Verhoeven's next film, Total Recall, has Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even know that this director was responsible for these kick-ass movies. I had no
Yeah.
idea it was the same director who did
Starship
Robocop,
Troopers.
Total Recall, and Starship
Yeah.
Troopers, and Showgirls, and others.
Yeah. Basic
crazy.
Instinct.
Man.
Yeah, Basic Instinct. Yeah.
Do you guys find
Verhoeven's awesome.
The person I was with said that they looked like if Willem Dafoe and David Bowie had a baby.
Who? The
Okay.
the main guy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Murphy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's
Yeah.
his name? Paul Weller or something?
Yeah, well, he's like
Shout out to Cassie.
he's David Bowie from the Chiefs up,
Peter Weller.
and then I like when he's shooting in an action scene, he purses his lips. That's my favorite. He's like,
Okay, like, are Robocops like poses when he's shooting kind of weird to you? Like, he always looked like he was doing like a flamboyant cowboy type of
Well,
thing.
I think he
like-
was because that was what it was in his brain was this kid's show.
Oh,
That's
so
why.
it was on
that's
purpose.
why. Yeah, that's why he's doing it like an action hero.
he's supposed
I
to-
never
yeah,
got
He's supposed to
that.
also look robotic, and I know the actor spent a lot of time on the movements, and then they put him in the suit, and the suit had different capabilities than he had practice.
Yeah,
and he had
well,
a mime coach, and he
I
had to
figured
kind
it
of redo
was. I figured it was maybe a function of like the weirdness of the prosthetics and stuff. Like, I don't know.
I
But,
think
but
he
that
had-
makes sense. That's a plot reason. That's way better.
That is cool. That tickles Riley's brain. I think another aspect to it could be because he had limited mobility in the suit, he probably had to decide on certain poses that he was like, I have to move from this position to a position. So let me decide on which positions look cool in the frame, and I'll just go between those.
Yeah, man. It really bothered me sometimes how slow he walks because I'm like, this guy should be dangerous, and he is dangerous. But his danger, like it really his what do you call that? Him being what's the quality
Agility?
of no whatever. The thing that makes him kind of a badass is the fact that he is like a tank.
Yeah.
He's not like, oh, watch out, I'm gonna come out of the shadows and get you. You know, it's definitely not agility. It's like
But
I'm just gonna slowly move upon
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
and
It's
then-
definitely 80s action movie silliness because that scene when he busts all the that drug warehouse.
Yeah.
I'm like, just run. Just like instead
Run
of
away
like
from him.
instead of
Stands there.
standing there just shooting him where he's like
Honestly,
I can point and shoot at everyone.
If
Just run.
If anyone can break line of sight with Robocop, you're good.
Yeah, exactly.
You're golden.
I feel like
Just
one
get
of
the hell out of there.
The pitch, when people do the comps when they're pitching, it's like this, but this movie is like it's the Terminator, but he was a cop.
100%. 100%.
What year was the Terminator?
80. It was before, I believe.
Before?
I believe the first one.
Right.
Let me check it.
Yeah, it always bothered me because I'm like, okay, he lets the guy get away on the motorcycle, and then his like competency is basically like shooting accurately so that he can stop people from getting too far away from him because it takes him a while to get over there.
Yeah, I like the scenes where he like has to move fast and they kind of just hide it with editing.
Yeah.
Like when the van is like careening towards this toxic waste. This big like
Giant
Helvetica
vat.
labeled toxic waste vat, and he has to kind of speed walk out of the way.
Yeah. Oh!
I could totally see him. I don't know if he's ever appeared in a South Park episode, but he looks like he could easily be in a South Park with these big poses he
I feel
does.
like I've seen him.
Yeah, they wouldn't have to work hard to emulate the.
He's like a T-Rex. I went to a Science World on the weekend to a T-Rex exhibit, and I learned that the T-Rex cannot run. Literal definition of running being that the T-Rex
feet are off the
has
ground?
1 foot on the ground at all times. It can walk up to like 40 kilometers
Really
an hour
great at
very
race
fast.
walking.
This is exactly like Robocop.
Dang.
Except he's got longer arms.
It's just not the same to picture a T-Rex race walking behind you.
He's got a long stride.
I'm gonna get you.
Its little arms go, just go like this. Sorry, podcast.
And one,
listener.
and two, and one.
Terminator was before. It was 1984.
Yeah.
Oh
Definitely.
man.
Man, okay, but while we're talking about the toxic fat,
Yeah.
again, hyperviolence, that what happens to the guy who gets covered in
Disturbing.
it, it's actually was awful to watch in a
Yeah.
good way. And and he explodes, and oh god, the whole thing.
Man,
That
yeah.
was
His
another
noise.
when he explodes on the car. That was another thing that they had to like really fight to get. I don't know if it was depicted differently on.
I almost feel like the
versions.
explosion is the least intense part. Like it's when he's just like melting and he's screaming.
Yeah.
in the
noise.
arms of his buddy who
Yeah.
suddenly does not want to be his friend.
Yeah, it's the body horror. Yeah.
Oh god.
There's a lot of body horror in this. I actually was disturbed at the beginning when after the criminals do so much to him to destroy his body, he's then in the care of the corporation and they're talking about, I wanted a full prosthetic left arm.
Yeah.
Why did you like save his arm?
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there like a mind in a vat listening to this.
Yeah.
Saying, cut it off.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
The bad guys are just bad guys. There's no. I mean, that's another thing that I mean points off a little bit.
100%.
They're just literally evil bad guys with no real reason other than I don't know money. I guess.
Yeah, Red. What's his motivation?
Who?
Oh, Red Foreman?
Yeah. it's-
Yeah.
Butt
Yeah.
liquor?
I'm like, is that the dad from that '70s show?
Hell yeah, it is.
I'm like, oh yeah, what is?
His name is Kurtwood.
It's funny to see. It's funny to see like supposedly badass bad guys in the '80s movies having like glasses.
Well, he wanted him to look like Himmler.
Oh.
They gave him these
But
tiny
he's also
glasses.
supposed to be kind of like a badass you're scared of in terms of like his actual ability to like wield weaponry and stuff. Like it's not like he's like just a general telling people what to do.
Trench coat.
He's out
shotgun
there.
guy.
He's yeah.
Yeah, that scene when he goes and harasses the secretary is like next level.
with the
Like,
chewing gum.
yeah, and like what is he? What?
That's his wife.
No.
Yeah, that's Kurtwood's wife.
Wait, no, real?
Yeah,
Sherwood
yeah.
Smith. That's so funny.
I thought you were making a joke.
No, that's real.
Yeah, that I couldn't handle. I was shocked at like how far they push it. And I mean, like he's just pure evil. So is Dick Jones.
I like when he dips his fingers into that other dude's wine glass.
So what is the point of that scene? Because I like that he dips his fingers in as a power move. He's like, fuck you. But then the other dude almost immediately drinks from
That's the power response.
Dude, just like, I don't care.
Exactly. Looks him in the eye. I don't give a fuck, and he just drinks it back
Yeah,
at him.
yeah.
That was so alpha. That was. I loved that.
Yeah, I liked it just as kind of like a weird. I'm crazy, man. You never know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stick my fingers in your wine.
And then sniff them. He dips them, and then he plugs his nostrils with them.
It seemed
What
like
is
such a weird directorial decision to have, or script, I don't know, to have this guy drinking wine during the scene.
That was
It
weird.
just does not seem like a scene
He's
where someone would
Italian.
be walking around. Here, I'm a crime boss, and crime bosses have fancy wines. I guess I don't. It's
Maybe
just,
the actor brought that character choice, and they're like, I guess you can drink wine.
it's like one of these things that you would like put in your handheld home shot movie thing as a teenager. You're like, yeah, and he's gonna be a cool guy, smoking a cigar and drinking wine.
You know what it could be is I know for another scene, the scene where Robocop takes his helmet off. They're sitting outside.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be at night, but they said they couldn't afford to light it. So maybe that scene they also wanted to be at night, and that would make more sense for him to have wine. Then they couldn't afford to light it, so then they did it in the day, and then suddenly he's day drinking. And it's weird.
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like it's more just like a weird decision in a campy 80s movie to have a bad guy drinking wine. I don't know. While they're walking around the cocaine factory.
yeah.
They had like machines and stuff like.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was it's very 80s in that way. It's pre-crack, so it's
Yeah.
just like the height of cocaine. Just
We
cocaine
already,
on the titties.
we already talked about that scene where he gets like where Murphy is dismembered or whatever. But I thought it was like an interesting decision to have him just like slowly shot to death like that instead of like something that I would expect, because I've never seen this movie before. So I was like, what's he gonna do? You know, I know he becomes Robocop, so like how is he gonna get his body mangled or something? He's gonna be dropped in a vat of acid or get in a car accident or something. It's like I expected it to kind of be like a one-off, oh no, I have to, and then it's over and then you just see him in the hospital.
Yeah.
But this is like a drawn out, like it was an interesting decision to like really just torture the viewer a little bit like that.
There's two reasons for that. One reason is that he wanted this to be some kind of like Jesus story, American Jesus story. So he gets crucified, like his arms are spread, and then his hand gets shot off. So it's a crucifixion. It's meant to be a crucifixion by bullets. And the second reason that it was so like protracted and gruesome, Verhoeven. He said that at this point in the movie, you don't really know Murphy. You barely been with him, so you don't really care about him. So he thought that if he just made him suffer so much that we would just be, what do you say?
Be more on his side?
Sympathetic?
Yeah, sympathetic?
It's one of those times where I just forget the word and then just spend 20 seconds trying to figure out the
It's
fucking word.
sympathetic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like endeared to him. You care about him just because you're like, oh, no one deserves this.
Yeah, you
Right.
Yeah,
And
feel
then-
pity.
Then you can build up the character more later, but
Yeah,
because you just wouldn't care if he just
right.
They got shot in the head, yeah.
Yeah, I did end up caring about him, I guess, at the end, even though, like I said, I barely know anything about him except that, like, I know that he has a kid who likes the show, and so he's trying to, like, be a good dad, or not even really. He's just like, I want to seem cool to my kid.
that's all you get. You don't even know what his like cop values are.
Yeah. He could be an asshole.
But I think what the movie does well is that it starts him off as an unthinking cop killer, like cop machine, then slowly kind of reveals the layers of Murphy through it, like when he has the nightmare and then he goes and activates, and then all of a sudden he's on like a vendetta and he goes and finds the dude.
He's like investigative.
Yeah, and
and
then
I
he-
like when he's
yeah.
going through the database.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome.
And he goes and gets Dick Jones and gets taken down. And that scene, like for me, that's the moment where I kind of I don't fall in love with RoboCop, but I start really caring about what he's doing when he's going after Dick Jones and he has to escape. And then that chase through the parkade and stuff, and like then the build back up. That's when I care about him for the first time, and I think the movie really succeeds at that.
Did you guys did you think about how like the very fact that they made this movie about like a RoboCop, an overpowered cop bringing order to the streets was kind of like an interesting movie to make at that time because of what was going on in American society? I don't know a ton about this, but I had heard about like crime being at its peak in the 80s, which is why we had a lot of these kind of like, I think the Warriors also kind of explored this concept of like lawlessness. And so we had a bunch of movies depicting people going out there and cleaning up the streets, like, but I hadn't really experienced that myself being a privileged person. So I like, did you guys think about that at all during the movie?
Not really. I did think that this movie really doesn't touch upon like the relationship of the citizens with having a robot police force.
Right.
Maybe the sequel does.
They do.
They do? Okay, that's good because that's a huge topic that they should. In this movie, the only aspect of that is when he saves that lady by shooting between her dress legs and shooting that guy right in the dick, which is so sick.
Yeah.
And then she's like, thank you. And she embraces him and it's really awkward. And he's like, I will refer you to a rape crisis hotline.
You have suffered an emotional event or whatever. Yeah.
And she's just like,
And she's like weirded out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. But that's kind of all we get. I know
Watch out for the crazy criminals out there who are going to cut your hair.
the screenwriter said that,
Like the implication is they're going to rape her or something. But it was just funny that like, we're going to spend some time first cutting your hair.
You got hair down there.
that was the most cringe scene, honestly.
I love the depiction of like crazy criminals in like in vintage movies where they're just like, I don't know what they're like. Where'd you get this idea of criminals?
They
Like,
have, like,
we're
hyena
just
labs.
crazy guys, man.
Yeah, they just like do erratic movements around
Yeah.
her while running, going like,
it's like the SNL. Like we are two wild and crazy guys, but criminals.
Yeah.
If you only watch the criminals in this scene, like your eyes don't even land on her. It's just so cringe. You're like, what are you doing?
That's what I'm saying.
And then you know what's made worse by the lighting in that scene? Because they wanted to have the Robocop shadow come up.
Oh.
So they ended up having to, even though it's on, it's not a set. It's practical. They're in a location. It looks like a set because the way it's lit with those harsh lights make it look like a stage.
Right.
So that just makes it look even more artificial and cringe. But no, I don't think I heard the screenwriter talking about the impetus for making this was when he was doing meetings at different Hollywood studios. He would just sit in them, and he had this feeling that corporatization was just rising. Just like how technology kind of infiltrates society and we can't really stop it. He had this feeling that corporate America was doing that, or corporatization was doing that. And he said, I was just sitting in these meetings and I just wanted a robot to come in and shoot everyone.
Yeah.
That's
No,
amazing.
I guess I wouldn't ascribe this sort of like intentionality to Paul Verhoeven, I guess, but I'm saying that it seems like there was sort of a cultural wave of these movies that provided some sort of vicarious fulfillment of like of wishes that people had, that like someone would clean up the streets. You know, I think that there were a bunch of movies around the time that like you could watch it and be like, yeah, that would be cool if we had that, you know, because of the specific issues with like crime rising from like the 1970s, and then it seems like in the early 90s, I just Wikipedia'd it. In the early 90s, it kind of like dropped off again. But
It's possible, but I do know that everyone laughed at the title of the screenplay when it was getting passed around. And they're like, Robocop.
yeah,
Like as brutal as it seems now, you just think, yeah, that was the 80s. They did stupid crap like
Yeah.
that. But like, no, even in the 80s, they were like, what?
well, it's funny because the poster, it looks like something that somebody would make as a parody of
Like
of this.
Kung
Like
Fury or
it says
whatever.
part man, part,
Hobo with a shotgun.
part man, part machine, all cop. That was the real poster said that.
Oh, God.
I read some other premise like that. It was like, there's one thing they didn't account for. There's a man in the machine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting though because, you know, with all the like discourse in recent years around cops and like corruption and all this stuff, it's interesting to watch this movie that seems to have a pretty good opinion of cops. It's like the cops are
They're
largely
trying.
the good guys in this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, where they're fighting the criminals, and the bad guys are the corporations who are trying to come in and take over the police force. There's a police union who's like fighting for like good stuff in this. It's just an interesting kind of not juxtaposition.
Yeah, well,
but-
there are elements of the world building that point towards utopia. It's not 100% dystopia. Like the shot in the locker room where you just suddenly you're like, oh, there's a woman changing in there. How?
Yeah.
It's because in Verhoeven's mind, the director's mind, he was like, yeah, they've evolved past that.
Right.
They're capable of having non-sexual nudity. They can have like contexts that are where gender doesn't matter.
right.
And that,
Yeah.
I think that's probably the only part of the movie that's like better than today.
I
Yeah.
feel like it was that, but it was also kind of just like an excuse to have boobs in the movie because
There's a couple.
he did it.
He does this in Starship Troopers
yes,
too, doesn't he?
exactly same thing. Like co-ed change rooms. Like
This is my vision for the future.
in the future, I will be able to see boobs whenever I want. That's not a Dutch accent. I'm sorry.
I know. The Dutch accent is so particular, but I have spent zero
the
time
future.
working on it.
I would be able to see boobs wherever I want. Something
Closer,
like that.
Closer, yeah.
I'm like pulling back my voice.
They have like
I'm not committing.
cotton in
I'm
their
not
mouths.
committing. Huh? Yeah, they got stuff in their cheeks all the time.
Yeah. My great grandmother was Dutch. I'm not Dutch. My grandma's adopted.
Yeah, right.
But-
you got rid of all of it.
I wish I was Dutch.
Squeezed it out.
They're sick.
Your great grandma was Dutch, but you're not.
I'm not genetically Dutch.
I mean, you would have some a little bit then.
Insofar as like I've been around China that is like blue and white.
Like
Dishes?
the dishes. Let's move on. Do
Dishes.
you want something that's
I don't get it.
You know, like, oh, let's use the good china. Like plates, cups. Okay.
all right, man?
Oh,
do
you
want
mean you're as Dutch as China is Chinese? Is that what you're saying?
No,
Oh my
he's
God.
been around Dutch China, like China that was Dutch.
Remove the
Yeah.
nation of China from your mind. We're not talking about the country China.
Been around
We're-
Dutch.
China. Yeah.
Plates,
Dutch
dishes, ornamental glassware.
What does that have to do with you having like a little bit of Dutch blood in you?
I'm
though?
telling you, I don't have any Dutch blood in me because my grandma was adopted by a Dutch person. but my great grandma had Dutch things in her house because she was Dutch.
Did you say adopted earlier?
Yes.
Okay, I missed it.
Man, that makeup when he takes his helmet off, buddy, that's good makeup.
It's good.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they did that.
Yeah, there's a shot where it's like kind of a wide shot and he's just sitting there and it feels like his head is too small and it feels like they couldn't have accomplished it. I don't know how they did it, but it looks so good.
It didn't fit in the helmet. The shots when he takes the helmet off, it's deliberately like the angle is you can't really see the helmet coming off.
Well, even like the way they do the drill coming out in the one shot where it's like, oh, that wouldn't work. And it's like clearly it's a trick drill where it's like the screws coming out of the drill, but it's really effective to make it feel like it's all
Those
all
screws
there.
like connect and they touch in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh man, they knew they had a good makeup too because the shots are just like right up to his face and it's just seamless. I don't know how they did that.
Yeah. It looked very real. I was very
remember
impressed for an 80s movie.
The
looked
thigh
that
holster when I was a kid being so cool.
That was
and
cool.
seeing it in the movie this time, I was like, it's kind of lame.
It always goes to a close up of like a stationary leg opening up.
Yeah.
Oh, there's lots of cheats like that. Like
You
this
don't think it was
suit-
cool this time? I loved it.
It looked kinda
I mean, it was my
empty.
first time seeing it. So
Yeah, okay. I don't know. It just didn't look like it.
man, I want one of those.
They have all these other shots because the suit had limitations. Like he couldn't get out of a car. So there's many times that he does in this movie, but it always just cuts to him, even on the poster, standing up beside the open door of the car. You never see his like legs swing out.
Yeah.
He
It
also
seemed. Oh, go ahead.
he also couldn't go upstairs. So
Which
there's
is
just
so ironic.
yeah, because they had 209 can't go
Oh
downstairs.
my gosh! I burst out laughing. I've never seen this movie. I burst out laughing because I'm like, wait, this is how he defeats him. He defeats the ED209 using stairs.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
At the end of the day, he just couldn't get past.
Well,
the
he would
stairs.
defeat him in a way that there's a person in there. That makes sense.
What?
Well, he's by.
With the.
I don't know. You would think that it would be some kind of way that like I'm a
It was
human
just
and
such
you're
a
not.
banal. Does that? It was such a weird, like normal way for a giant death robot to be defeated. Is whoopsies, can't step down the stairs.
But
I like that it
rolling
tries.
Yeah, it's like investigating. But I think for me, why it works is that the real enemy isn't ED209. The real enemy is the corporate overlord taking over the police. So it's like it goes from that easily taken care of. It's so silly, but then it goes to like the darkest point of the movie. And so it almost, I think, accentuates how bad the rest of it is when like the big enemy is just like a silly.
Yeah, it has
guy.
harmony with that whole theme of like, it doesn't have to work. It just needs to sell. Like they did a bad job.
Wait, hold on. Did you guys not laugh during the stairs part?
Oh, it was
I
awesome.
love
Okay,
it.
okay.
I think it's hilarious.
Just to clear
oh,
that
and when
up.
he-
But I agree
goes-
with David. He's not the big bad because later when he
No, of course
destroys
not.
the
Yeah.
Ed 209, he just pulls out a gun and blows it up.
No,
He
I
doesn't have
think
a
I
good-
think I'm just saying that like if you just from a scene perspective, like okay, there's this conflict happening and there's a localized conflict. All right, if there's a big monster coming at you, it's a funny way to defeat the monster by just like, well, it can't go downstairs.
I like the sounds they do too, because like they give him like the lion roars every time
Yeah.
he moves, but then when he's on his back squealing, he squeals like a pig.
Yeah, it's like.
I love it. It's such a good sound.
I'm saying this movie has comedy aspects.
Of course.
I like when that guy geeks out of the bathroom early. Gotta go, and he's
Yeah,
like
it's like-
has piss all over his pants because he's just like, I'm getting out of here.
I know that's one of my. I love that whole scene where it's like you see the feet of someone the way it's shot like underneath the stall door, and you see their feet, and then when they mention Jones, the feet kind of like hide themselves, and then it's like that. Those are Jones's feet, and it's such a good.
Right.
Oh, it's a whole great power scene. They should have just kissed though in that scene.
He touches
Yeah,
his
yeah,
hair.
just get it over
Imagine
with.
he just made him, just kissed him forcefully.
Honestly, I think I honestly expected something like that because I was like, he's getting closer to him, like he's like making him uncomfortably
Yeah.
intimate.
More world building in that scene. They have the stock tickers over the urinals.
Oh, do they?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't see that.
awesome.
I was annoyed by some of the technology in this movie. Might even call it a nitpick.
Are we into nitpicks? I think we are.
Oh, whoa!
I don't have anything left but nitpicks.
Here it goes.
Nitpicks.
I don't remember. Fuck.
Okay,
Oh
well,
my god.
I have a hit pick.
Okay, David lost his nitpick. What's up, Riley? What do you got?
The hit pick is that he has like an R2D2 computer jack that's also like a spike.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that thing's sick.
I love that. That's so fun. But it's like, I was kind of like, okay, this is not that far away in the future. It seems like really near future. But now we have this like interface for controlling.
What is that
computers.
interface?
Yeah, it's like a spike. Yeah.
That's the thing in this movie. That it's like almost nothing else is futuristic. And on the one hand, that makes it kind of more believable.
Right.
Well, it's our world, but just like they got this one thing. Well, on the other hand, it's kind of doesn't make any sense. Like we have these advanced robotics and AI, but we have a Ford Taurus.
Yeah, it's literally just like the regular world plus a robot.
And taller buildings, I guess.
I just thought it was so funny that he has a regular car.
They tried.
Like I expected him to have a robo-car or something.
I remember what I watched a series. I watched this as a child.
He had a robo-car in the series.
This stuff came out 2 years before I was even born. But I somehow watched this because I don't know.
It was a franchise.
How do my parents let me do this? But
there's 2 and 3.
I remember liking 2 more.
Yeah.
And I remember watching a series. And I know that in the series, and I haven't looked this up since.
It's a Canadian TV show.
No way.
From the 90s, yeah.
Oh, was it?
And in the series, he had a special cop car where the sirens on the top were in a V shape, and that differentiated it from the other cop cars.
Right.
But anyways, in this movie, they did mock up a futuristic-looking car.
Oh, did they?
And when it got to the set, everyone started laughing. They thought it looked so cringe, so they just rented a Ford Taurus and used it. They didn't use all the cars they made for the movie.
This looks too cringe. You know what's way better? This fucking futuristic, crazy cyborg man driving a Ford Taurus. He looked so funny in it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting in the car, and everyone's like, "Okay, go, RoboCop, save the streets." He's like getting in his like jank ass car. I love it.
I think his suit is B level as well. Like it's pretty sick.
The suit looks badass. Like the suit, I was scared. If I saw something like that, I'm like, he looks like a fucking tank. He's like a walking tank.
It's pretty badass, but like I mean, especially the helmet, like the angles of it, it's kind of narrows in a way. It's not as sick as Batman.
The way he moves kind of ruins it sometimes.
But that's definitely a nitpick that I have is the squishy face part, which is similar to Batman. It's like just aim for the mouth. Just if you're shooting him, just aim for the mouth. But it's again, you just let it go.
He's got to have a way to intimidate people by letting the saliva come out. And go like,
well, no, by blowing kisses at them when he shoots.
Yep, that too.
At the risk of this episode being characterized as James watched the commentary and tells us all about it. There was an anecdote that I really want to get in here, which I thought was so cool, which is the filmmakers thought that if they revealed what RoboCop looked like too abruptly, the audience would go,
ugly.
That looks lame. And so they thought that they could, if they revealed it slowly and from a distance and stuff, that they could kind of seduce you into accepting it. So that's why the reveal, the first image you see of him is it's first person view and there's a camera on him. So there's a camera monitor that shows him from the side. The next shot is he's walking behind that glass at the cop shop that pixelates him. Yeah. Which is a sick intro.
It's a great intro.
And then the next shots are all from the back and you're in like, the camera's in a different room.
When the cops chase him and it's like the handheld shot of them, be like, what's going on? And you get super amped. Like that's such an effective little shot down the hallway.
Right.
Yeah. And then he goes and sits on a chair or whatever, and they're like doing tests. And we're outside of the room. There's like a chain link fence between us and him. And then I think from there it goes to like super close up of just the face. But I thought that was really cool that they just weren't sure. So let's just give it to you in stages till you're used to it, and then you'll like it.
And it really works because like I never look at that suit and I'm like, meh. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think one aspect of the coolness is the lighting on it. They just drench it in light. It reflects all around. You can tell it's super practical and real feeling.
Yeah.
Much better than the 2014 one.
Oh, I didn't bother.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that at all. But apparently it wasn't that great.
Does he move faster, though?
He moves faster. He can like, I don't remember everything, but I think he can jump really high and stuff.
Yeah, he's like more agile.
But it's Joel Kinnaman's.
Who is that?
That's the Rick in Suicide Squad.
He's
before that,
Altered Carbon.
I like that guy. Yeah. He's got a weird darkness to him.
He's fucking sick in The Killing, the AMC series. That's when I was like a fan of him when he was in that series because it was so good. And then he started doing just like worse and worse things. And I'm like, oh man. Because he's so good. He plays this like kind of former druggy guy who's helping a detective solve crimes.
See, that makes sense for him. Yeah. I've only seen Altered Carbon, but I thought he worked in that role because I'm like, he's like this buff hero type, except you can tell he's
got a past.
He does wacky shit.
Yeah.
Like
he
does
good.
Like Gian Gameshi kind of shit, you know?
Yeah. Gian Gameshi.
Like he'll slap you too hard without consent.
90% of our audience is gonna more than that is gonna have no idea who that is.
I have no idea what you get.
Gian Gameshi?
No.
CBC guy.
Let's move on.
Okay, anyways. This is kind of a bigger hit pick, I guess, but like in the beginning, there's lots of moving shots. Like the camera's in motion a lot, and we haven't even really been introduced to Murphy that much. It takes a while to get us to Murphy, but I was just impressed at how the movie kept the momentum up throughout the first like 5 minutes or so. I was like, there was a lot of exposition happening and a lot of kind of setting things up, but I was like engaged. Yeah. Not just like the news segment, like after they start kind of, we go into the police station and we're kind of moving around and going into different rooms and people are talking back and forth and we're like following characters. It was like, I was just impressed with how well it kept the momentum up.
Totally.
I feel like the movie knows what the audience wants and gives it to you. Like I think that's like a huge success. That it, even by the sound of that commentary, it sounds like Paul Verhoeven knew exactly what the audience would be feeling at during the movie.
Yeah. It
feel
felt
like-
like a more modern movie almost
Totally.
because of that.
Well,
I expect to be bored a little bit.
contrary to it feeling modern, I feel like movies took their time in Act 1 more before. They would spend more time in Act 1, like getting all the pieces set.
Right.
The tendency now is just like, let's just start on the scene where it gets blown up.
Right. Yeah. I think in when I was saying I expected to be bored, I think when I think of like 80s movies, I don't think of the sort of like long one shot kind of moving through rooms kind of style that this employed. A lot of like, and then there were a lot of like handheld shots later during like his reconstruction and stuff. Man, those shots like when he's on the operating table and stuff and the camera's like going right up like in there, it's like with their hands and stuff. I was like, this is like
Totally.
And they had
It
that
was
real
just-
doctor
yeah.
calling the shots.
real doctor.
The voiceover, where they're like, all right, one more try. We're going to give up after this.
Oh,
that was
yeah,
like a
yeah.
real doctor
Oh, that's cool.
doing that. It made it super real.
I
In
love
real life. They got a doctor.
Yeah. Like it wasn't like an
Oh.
actor
Well, they killed him.
reading
They killed him
screenplay
for
lines.
real. Then they no.
I was just like, why would they get a real doctor?
They killed him with Dutch China.
Why would they need a real doctor for that?
It just
It
makes it
sounds
more
more
realistic,
authoritative.
and he uses jargon that's real, and it's just not. It wasn't like they hired an actor who's reading the screenplay dialogue. Instead, they used a real doctor with.
Wait, I guess that's cool.
It makes it more realistic.
I guess so. It's just such like a weird thing to do.
Okay.
I really want this doctor to sound like a real doctor.
I
We
don't-
the only way we can do this is we get a real
My
doctor.
guess is they didn't
to read out
specifically
the
go
time.
and seek like a real doctor who wanted to get into acting. I'm sure it was the circumstance meant
Yeah,
that there was like a
yeah, I
doctor
guess so.
and like yeah.
No, they just went and got like a surgeon. They're like,
It just seems like a weird. All right, I don't know
Okay.
why this is so funny to me.
Uh,
Neither I.
Like a weird
maybe
like.
my
need to get a real
favorite
guy.
hit pick in the movie is when Murphy's like doing his detective work and he finds the guy in the club and the guy pulls out his gun and he whacks it away and the random dude catches it and keeps on dancing. I love that shot so much.
This movie has so many little things
he
like
kicks
that.
him in his like metal crotch.
Yeah.
He's doing
Oh.
Yo. When this is like a hit pick, when they blow the intern away, the ED-209 or whatever, he's like lying on the table with his like torso just completely mangled, and someone's like, "Somebody call a paramedic." He's fucking dead, dude.
Yeah, so dead.
Oh my god, someone call a paramedic.
I like when that dude gets shot in the nuts because everyone has to get like specific justice.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Right.
you got to get
Yeah.
exactly what you deserve.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
perfect.
Like if
You
you're a
were
thief,
going
your
to-
hand should be cut off.
You were
know?
going to use this, and now you can't.
Oh my god. It's effective. Ugh.
Nitpick, when they on the first car chase or whatever, they're coming up on like Clarence's car and he's got all the guys in the back and they like get all ready. All right, lock and load, guys, and they like open the back and then the car's not there. They're like, what? Where is he? oh, they're up on the side. And then they go and like start shooting them through the side window, and then the car comes back to the back of the truck anyways. And I'm like, what was that move? Like, ooh, slick moves, man.
Yeah, trick
You pulled up on the side of it instead of the back.
Same with him like guns akimbo leaning out the side.
Give
It's
me
like,
your gun.
come on,
Like, this
yeah.
is standard procedure.
Yeah,
We're gonna
it's
go
like-
after these guys. I'm gonna dual wield pistols.
Yeah, that chase is not one of the best ones. I like when he like the character building they do for Red when he like looks at this guy who's been shot or whatever. He's like, can you fly? What?
No,
Throws
Clarence,
him-
no.
Yeah, I like that it
Clarence, you're my
characterizes
brother.
him a little bit.
Yeah. That was good. That was good.
My
Unfortunately, there's a real big well in that scene still.
Oh.
There's a continuity. I mean, it's whatever. But like the windshield gets not shot out, but it's got big giant holes in it. And then the next shot, it's pulling up on the other side of the van and it's intact.
Yo, they shot that scene in like 2 different locations. Like, part of it was L.A., part of it was
What?
Detroit or Dallas. or something.
Weird.
It was
I
like a
wonder why.
mess of a shoot.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
There's another error like that where Robocop throws butt liquor through a window and
Butt liquor.
the window breaks like a full half second before his body hits it.
oh, I see.
You're like-
It's little things like
but
that.
it was real glass.
Yep.
Right.
But yeah, they hit that.
Oh, when he like catches him. Yeah.
They hit it too early.
Sorry, go ahead.
You can
Big
see it.
nitpick when they're like, how do we keep track of him with this tracker? And it's like a printed thing with one little hole and an LED blinking.
What was up with that? It's
They
like
didn't
what?
want to do the effects
Because
for
they
that.
show you the tracker later, and it's like a little screen, and
Yeah.
it actually looks pretty good.
But
sure.
the first time, it's like that doesn't update.
The first time it's like, okay, you can only track them within these 4 blocks
Yeah,
that
exactly.
are depicted on this map.
yeah, what?
Yeah, and if he's standing still.
If he's if he's in this one
The
spot,
one LED.
yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, well, there's actually like 14,000 trackers, and so they have to pick it up, and then they
Oh,
know
yeah.
it shows which one they're on.
Yeah, they're like-
it makes sense.
Yeah, they have to put the trackers together into a big display, and then they
Hitpick.
can watch it.
Hitpick. Nukem. The board game.
Oh yeah,
I think that's so funny because that's the kind of sci-fi kind of satire that makes you think, yeah, what the hell's with Battleship? Why does that exist? It's like, yeah, it's just it's a violence,
Battleship makes sense.
aggrandizing,
That's just regular.
wartime board game.
Yeah, that's just a regular war game, though.
Yeah, but that's kind of weird.
Chess is basically Battleship.
Okay. Well,
But I think
in
it's
this
so
in this
abstract,
reality,
dude.
it's nukes.
This man has never played chess. No, I have. But yeah, I don't know. Battleship seems more normal to me. But I guess what you're saying is that in this future scenario where nukes are just as normal as battleships,
Yeah.
right?
It's just funny because it's like Battleship is like born out of that era.
Right.
Right? You're like, oh, cool, there's submarines and shit. It's like a World War II board game.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, they updated that. And now there's like a mushroom cloud happens above your kitchen table, and they're like, yes!
then the effects. Are
Like, that
funny.
scene is pure comedy.
It's
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, the commercials are pure comedy satire.
One nitpick, I guess, it's sort of almost bigger than a nitpick, is the movie showing its age and the fact that Robocop doesn't automatically back up. Because like there's a big part of this movie where
Oh, I mean, like his memories
Jones,
and stuff.
yeah, where Jones and Bootlicker have to kill him before he exposes them or exposes Dick Jones because he has the video of
Right.
Bootlicker.
But he only has local storage.
What's his name? Boddicker?
Boddicker.
Boddicker. But it's only local storage that he has the video of him saying that Dick Jones is involved, and it's like, oh, when he plugs in, they don't back up. Like, there's no like internet, there's no nothing that backs up, and it's fine. But I definitely found myself being like, come on.
Well, there literally was no internet. They made it, and I guess he plugs in. They could have put that plugged in aspect. Does he even ever plug in though?
Yeah, he has to charge.
But maybe not after that because he's kind of gone rogue at that point.
I want to see him eat some damn baby food.
Yeah, we never see him actually eat it.
We see that one dude go ham on it.
He's just like,
He ate too much of it. Actually, it was kind
Yeah.
of world breaking. I didn't like that.
It was like they kept rolling, and he's like didn't have any more direction, so
Yeah,
he's
it's
just
just
like, I guess I'll just keep doing the last thing that I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, a hit pick related to the baby food is the dude is going to try to become human again, but he does not become human again. He reclaims some memories. He reclaims some identity, but he is not the same. He is cyborg forever, and this is kind of made in metaphor or visualized by shooting those baby food bottles. When he does the target practice, they set up the baby food bottles, and he shoots them, just like destroying any chance at family life ever again.
Right.
I thought that was badass.
Yep. I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
I guess so, because it's like, what do you? He doesn't really have a choice to go back to his wife and kid,
She moved on. It's all we're told.
right? Wait,
Yeah.
like, what do you mean moved? They moved to a different city?
Yeah.
When
Someone
said-
says she moved on.
Yeah.
like, remarried.
Yeah,
Lewis
it
says
sounds
that,
like
yeah.
she remarried or whatever.
In the new one, they kind of do that a bit different, where he gets in an accident and then he's unable to consent to the procedure, so then his wife consents
Ooh,
to
she
it
has
for
guilt.
him.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he's going to die. So she's like, all right, I'm going to consent this for you. And then at the end of the movie, spoilers for 2014, I guess I read it on Wikipedia. You're not
There's
going to see
bunch
this
of
movie if
family
you haven't
stuff.
seen it already.
Don't watch for 2014.
Spoilers. I think he gets a more normal body at the end.
Yeah, there's a lot more family stuff.
Yeah.
Now I'm remembering he goes to his house at some point and
Yeah.
he's like talking with them
Yeah,
or
he
something.
like has a
Yeah.
relationship with his son after he becomes
Yeah.
Robocop and stuff. Yeah.
It was not good.
I mean,
It was like a 5.
it's kind of like a dark, weird idea that like he's still alive, but his memory's messed up and he's in this robot body. So like he couldn't reunite with his family, even though we have a sense that should happen, you know? I don't know. I had that sense anyways. I'm like, it seems weird that you're still alive out here doing stuff.
Okay,
And
so
you kind of know that you were Murphy.
here's the question for you. Your partner gets killed in the line of duty. And then like a couple years later, they show up as a robot.
Is it
version
a
of
couple
them.
of years or what?
I think it's a while. I think
No.
I feel like
Oh.
it's got to be like 3 months.
I thought it was only a few months.
I think
but
it's
who knows?
unclear, but
They go through New Year's Eve, so I don't know what that means.
it's a while.
Yeah.
But let's say 6 months later or whatever.
Sure.
They show up at your door and they're like, "It's me, your wife." And like, are you happy or are you traumatized? Like, what's going through your head?
I mean,
Ugh.
I'd
Yeah,
be like,
man.
oh shit, That's pretty cool.
Yo, open that thigh up.
I feel like if it was me,
You got Red Bull in there?
I wouldn't want to do it though. Like if Lauren showed up half robot or all robot, I'd be like, yeah, okay, let's make this work. But if it was me, I'd be like, this feels weird. I feel like I'm a burden. You know?
You're such a good man.
I know, I'm so amazing.
I don't know what I would do, man. I'd be like, you make money with that thing?
Can you work?
What do you?
Can you
hug?
Can you still stay home with the babies?
Are you soft enough to hold the children? It's one or the other.
holding the baby, it's like this is not comfortable.
Another question is there's a scene in this movie where he has the drop on these guys. They have their big guns. They're in an alleyway. He comes from a stairwell above in their hideout, and he could just shoot them all, but he goes, looking for me?
Yeah.
And that made me think, because I was enhanced, I was thinking, does he have to do that? Because if he doesn't and he just shoots them in the back and gets a couple that way, that is not a hero.
No. I think you're right.
Yeah. Story writing wise, you can't have a hero just come up and like blast people
Like,
from behind.
He wasn't looking, like no sucker punches from a hero.
Yeah.
And it made me think, like, is that the origin or a raison d'etre of cheesy lines? There's always a cheesy line, like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Is that because, in part, sometimes, because of this reason?
Oh.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like they far predate this movie.
No, he's not saying that it exists because of this movie, but it exists for the reason
Oh,
of
That's
making the hero.
storytelling
Yeah.
reason, that,
I mean,
like, moral reason.
I mean, in whatever movies have a hero sneaking up on an unaware villain, yeah, I guess so. I mean, those kind of
that
lines,
context, yeah.
those kind of lines don't always have the villain unaware. They're probably
That's true.
Yeah, but that's it. That is interesting. Even though morally, it'd be more than justified to shooting him in the back.
Totally,
They're coming to
but-
kill him.
Well, and they did kill him already. So.
Right. Yeah, they're coming to kill him again. Also, those guns, I love the
They're
cannons.
awesome.
It's just like a big fucking sniper rifle, but
Literally,
it's like also
they
a
literally
rocket
are.
launcher.
They literally are sniper rifles, just with some doodads on the
Yeah,
top.
they look like the Barrett 50 cals or something.
I had a question. I didn't really understand what the state of that house that he visits is.
Yeah.
Because it's for sale, but then there's like, at first there's like the broken mug, and I was like, oh, it's kind of weird that like there's like a house on the market that's got a broken mug, and then there's like a whole like wall of like burnt flowers
Yeah.
and like destroyed books and stuff. I'm like, are they selling it? Is
Someone's
it abandoned?
squatting there?
Yeah, and I couldn't quite grasp.
If I had to
was.
guess, I'd be like, oh, it's Detroit and people have gone in there and fucked things up. But
Yeah.
at the time,
Detroit, ew.
at the time, I was like, okay, so we're gonna discover something about why this is like this. Like, oh, criminals came for his family too to finish the job or something. I don't know.
Maybe it was for sale, and then just the economy's so crap, like no one
no
could
one's
buy
buying
it.
Oh, maybe.
Waters?
Because they have like that like automated real estate agent just like on loop in there.
Yeah, it was just unexplained, and it was.
I think it's unexplained. It's just a contrivance or a convenience. It's one of those things like we want it to be kind of creepy and
Yeah,
like a tumbleweedy.
yeah, and like the burnt photo. Why is the photo burnt?
Because
Is it the same reason? I guess it's just they want it to feel like abandoned.
Because of vagrants. Vagrants burn
They're
things.
trying to keep warm.
They lightly burn the photo, just a tiny bit. They're like, this seems personal. I need a little heat. Just
just a little bit. That's enough.
Here's a hit pick. You know that guy who robs that convenience store and Robocop makes his
Oh, I
debut,
love
throws
that.
him through the
Oh, yeah.
glass and everything?
Yeah.
That dude, when he's walking up to the register, he pulls a random item off of the shelf to like pretend like he's paying for it. He pulls off a comic book of Iron Man.
oh,
Nice.
Epic.
That is so cool.
I
I
like-
love that you know that, James.
I know
Did you know
everything.
that in Lord of the Rings, Aragorn kicked the thing and he broke his foot?
I like that scene
welcome.
because I found the clerks were suitably terrified. Like sometimes when they're being robbed and the actors are like, meh, you can just tell like whatever, it's all staged. But I felt like they were really having a bad time.
I don't know though, because I feel like they should have had a gun. Because if this world is so messed up, and everyone who has a gun in this movie has like an Uzi, like if this guy who just
Fair,
wants
no,
to
normal.
save
That's
has
fair.
this giant fully automatic weapon, like can they at least have a pistol or something?
Yeah. The police have pistols, but everyone else has like some friggin'
Uzis.
military.
Also, is having your safe like right in the middle of the store, hidden by a couple beer cans, is that normal?
we don't have a safe. Yeah, you do. It's right behind you. Yo.
I watched you when you guys were out of stock.
Also, I don't know why, but I just love the criminal screaming, fuck me, fuck me,
Yeah.
fuck me. Like I said, Robocop.
That was awesome.
I know, it's
it was
great.
so realistic.
Yeah.
It was like not a movie line.
But it's funny because no one knows who Robocop is. This is his first action as Robocop. This guy's never seen it before.
Drop it.
And he's just like, he doesn't even know what it is, but he just knows it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but fuck me.
Well, they got like lasers in space, right?
Yeah.
So he's just like, oh,
This is Reagan's
Omni
latest
Group,
thing.
no. Here's another cool thing. I just like how like he's on this journey to get a soul. He's this man trapped in this machine kind of thing, and he comes up to the limits of what he can do within this body. Like he wants to kill Clarence, but he can't.
Right.
He can't enact his personal motivations of revenge.
Right.
He can't fulfill them because he's in this prison.
Directive 3.
4.
Uphold the law.
You're right.
That's for Clarence.
You got me.
Yeah. 4th directive.
Oh, that was so dope when the CEO was like, "You're fired."
Jones,
I was
you're
like,
fired.
"Oh, that's
Thank
why
you.
you're the boss."
And he had like a little like moment
knowing-
of recognition with like Robocop. He's like, "Yeah, go now." Gets out of the way.
Thank you. This movie rules,
I
man.
It's
love
a
this
great
movie.
movie.
6.5. Come on, give him
It's
a
6.5 because
Give it
it's
a
like
7. Come on.
no,
Come on.
because I gave
Just
Godfather
1.9,
2
6.9.
6.75.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, that's
I've
fine.
said that.
Same.
I have said.
say that
I didn't know it was
all the time.
from this. I literally,
really?
I thought it was actually from an old show.
Yeah, because it feels like it's a real show.
Look, I enjoyed it, but I think just like philosophically, I can't give a movie that doesn't titillate my brain a little bit more. Some like
it titillates your brain.
Your
No,
brain
it
is
doesn't.
titillated.
no, I'm just like,
shaken.
the military-industrial complex is bad. That's not really like a take.
No, but it's about like the corporations having power over the police allows them to write laws. Like, and that's what he does. The 4th directive is like is a corporation writing a law to protect themselves.
Yeah, I guess so, but it doesn't like make me
Yeah.
think. It doesn't make me think about anything. I'm just like, it's saying, look at this, it's bad. And I'm like, yes, that's true. It's not like, what does that mean for our society? and blah, blah, blah.
But I think what it does is it shines a mirror up to our existence, our world, and we're like, wow, our world is really fucked. And like maybe that's what I'm saying in 2022, it's like, yeah, this is just the state of things. Haha,
Right.
Robocop, you did it. You showed us our world. But in like 87, it was like, holy fuck, shit's gonna get bad, isn't it?
I will say that like I'm probably definitely missing the context of like, you know, existing in the 80s. This was 1 year before I was born. This came out, so you know, I'm missing that context of like, oh, this is some sort of poignant social commentary. But like from what I understand about the 80s, you know, I've seen a lot of 80s movies. Like this was kind of like par for the course to like criticize corporate America and like institutions in this way. So it was just kind of like, I'm not saying that it's devoid of that stuff. Obviously, I was like surprised to see that kind of like, it's starting right off at the beginning with the social commentary. It shows like Pretoria, South Africa, and like it's like the predominantly white government using it to like secure blah blah blah, and it's like talking about rebels in Mexico and stuff. Like it was obviously like it had one foot in this pond that I would have liked to see, you know, a bit more of, where we're saying things about the world. But for the most part, the things that they're saying about the world are kind of like, yeah, duh. Corporate evil stuff bad.
I like that point that you made about how like if this corporation because it's privatized law enforcement.
Yeah.
This corporation that owns the Robocop, the police interface with the public and they carry out laws. They obey the law. So that is completely public, not private.
Yeah.
But because the private entity owns the Robocop, they can write essentially this new law without having to go through any due process. And this new law is don't shoot the executives. That's really interesting. I wonder if that
Like a little
exists in any
backdoor
way
law.
for like weapons that are made by Google or something like that.
Oh, maybe.
That's just so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see as we get actually like weaponized.
Well,
drones
probably,
and
I
stuff.
bet, like, on some level, some kind of surveillance tech that exists in some big tech company, I'm sure they write, like, some protection for themselves or some, like, maybe it just, like, notifies them if they're being watched. Or, I don't know. This is all conspiracy that I have no proof
Yeah,
for.
like
but
a Lockheed Martin drone. It's like, if anyone
Yeah.
ever programs in the GPS coordinates of our office,
we'll
it
know.
won't work.
Totally.
Riley, stop laughing. Your brain is not titillated. This is for me and David.
I think it's really funny what you're saying.
All right.
Wait,
I'd buy that for $1.
Are we doing now playing or no?
I didn't have a plan to do Now Playing, but I wanted to do fan service.
Oh.
So from last time, we were wondering, we wondered out loud and we asked you guys, was the dude in Attack of the Clones who was like, you want to buy some death sticks?
Oh, yeah.
Was that the same actor who has played Mouse in The Matrix?
Because he looked like it.
And it is.
Yeah.
And his name is Matt Doran. And it gets better. That character in Attack of the Clones, if you go to the IMDb, that character's name is Ilan Sleazebagano.
Oh my God, George Lucas, just stop trying.
That's Sleazebagano de Bergerac. That's great.
That's
yeah, I saw
so
that
good.
comment, actually. I was like, oh, I was right. My facial recognition software is up to date.
Yeah, very well.
You guys all gave that movie too high of a score.
Oh, so
You wanna get your 2
so
cents
you
in?
did want to talk about Star
I
Wars.
don't want to.
What would you give it?
1 and 2.
Yeah,
Somewhere around
that's fine.
It gets points for those floating
Honestly,
pairs.
I feel like I should clarify because people were like, "Oh, you're not a real Star Wars guy," or I don't know. People got mad at me for giving it I gave it a 6, but then I downgraded to a 5.5. But it's because it's like a meme score. If I was
Yeah.
giving an objective like film score, yeah, it'd be like a 2 or something. But like I enjoyed it. It's fun Star Wars. It's stupid.
And there's some good stupid shit.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Well, that's
That's the third one?
That's Revenge of the Sith,
okay.
yes.
There's a lot of moments that are at the third one, actually. I was like, when's he going to ride that lizard? No, I guess that's not in this one.
I can't wait to do Revenge of the Sith.
I actually like Revenge of the Sith.
We can do it.
Sure.
But also,
People like Mark too, though.
that's true.
I guess I'm leaving. All right, you can tweet at us at TJMPod. You can email us hello@they'rejustmovies.com. And next week, what are we doing? Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
Oh my gosh.
Here
Got
we go.
Idris Elba. Sexy echidnas. Let's go.
I should bring a child. I should bring my not even 3-year-old. Have a reason to leave early.
What if I brought a child?
What if I brought a kid to a kids movie? I've never done that in my life. It'd be crazy.
Wait, really?
Have you had a kid old
No,
enough
you
for the
brought
movies?
you brought a teen.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
teens.
see
you later.
Thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Bye.